everybody's talking about campus town renovation. What are Lane 4's future plans for Ames?
For campus town, our goal is to work with the city and the university, both as partners, to produce a project that would cater to the entire Ames community. That was really the direction we were given from the city and to a certain extent the university when we responded to the request for qualifications last year.
And your qualifications, the question is, why is Lane 4 chosen? Your qualifications, you shot those out. Why were you guys chosen exactly?
Well, I feel we were chosen based on some of our project history. We've worked on a few projects that are similar to Campus Town. One at University of Kansas, another at K-State. Currently working on one here in Kansas City next to the University of Kansas Medical Center. But all mixed-use projects near major universities or what we would call legacy anchor, like a large campus and the KU Med case here in Kansas City, it's a med school and hospital.
So you guys definitely have the experience. So in your minds, what will Campus Town look like in 5 years, and then also what will it look like in 10 years?
I would say in 5 years it'll definitely still be changing. This is not a project that we can go and implement all in one phase and really achieve the effect that the city and the university are hoping for in a short period of time. So I think in 5 years it'll still be a new project. The students that are at Iowa State now will be gone, a new wave will have come in, and it'll still look like something brand new. 10 years, I think you'll see a fully stabilized project that's more integrated. It's in people's traffic patterns. Another thing about that 5-year timeline, to get the average Ames resident comfortable with the idea of coming to Campus Town on a regular basis for some of their daily needs, it takes a while to change those patterns. So in 10 years, I would think that would be fully implemented.
In Ames right now, it seems like there's kind of an information vacuum. Some people, including business owners, seem like they don't know what's going on. I mean, people that I've talked to, some business owners are like, I don't know what's up. I don't know. They do, and they're not saying that they do or whatever. But where's the best place to go to get information on Campus Town renovation?
Well, that's something we're working on. It would be us, and we are working on a website that'll be constantly updated with the latest plans that have been submitted and details about the project. But to your point about the excitement about the project, I think this is an area that really incites a lot of passion. There's a lot of character to the area, and people want to protect that, and that's something we totally appreciate. There are a lot of business owners that we haven't talked to, really because we're working with the people that own their properties, and in recognition of their, in many cases, long-term relationships, it wouldn't exactly be right to go to a business owner directly at this point.
I know you guys have reached out in the past. So how have you guys reached out in the past, and how do you continue to reach out to the community to communicate with them?
Sure. Well, one way of reaching out that we found to be incredibly effective with other projects is focus groups. And again, in an area that incites a lot of passion like Campus Town, we found our first wave of those focus groups to be very, very effective. And we did that this summer. Had a series of, I think it was 12 sessions, a few of which were public, a few were invite-only. The invite-only focus groups were specific groups of people. So, student government, safety folks, city government, residents, Campus Town business owners, et cetera. And we asked the same questions of all these groups and really just looked for patterns in the answers between all the groups. And, those patterns were focused on the impression that Campus Town has now publicly, and then the possible future, the opportunities in Campus Town.
Speaking of impressions, Campus Town, if you walk into Campus Town right now, bars, tattoo parlors, hair salons, tanning salons, ethnic food places, and other various establishments. I know in the past it wasn't like that. At least I've been told. I'm obviously not. I'm only 23.
Mm-hmm.
But for people that lived there a long time, they've been like, back in the day there was others. There's a different type of feel to it, basically. Why do you think there was that shift from what it was to what it is now?
That's a good question. I don't know. I wouldn't pretend to be an expert on Ames and the history of the area, but I will say it's Campus Town in Ames is not all that different from Campus Town type areas around universities all over the country. I think part of it, if I had to just guess, there has been a trend to, as people move out in the suburbs and cities grow, different retail nodes get spread a little bit thin. Their users can only go in so many places. So, one example for Ames campus town that we've heard is there were 2 grocery stores there at one point, and then, as recently maybe as a few years ago, there was still 1 there, and now there are none. Well, you obviously there's big Hy-Vees and there's a Walmart, and there are other ways that those needs have been accommodated in other parts of town.
Yeah, you guys have a lot of experience with this. You guys, what kind of businesses do you guys plan to anchor in campus town? And I guess speaking to past experiences elsewhere, you guys have a good experience, definitely down. How do these businesses, how are they sustainable kind of, put into, like, planted basically into an economic kind of situation where, like, it's bars, tattoo parlors, those kind of places, and you guys put in the new stuff. How does that stuff, is that stuff sustainable? How is it sustainable? How does it usually do?
I think it's very sustainable, and I'll speak to kind of our specific focus. One thing that we heard consistently in the focus groups was that, again, some kind of drugstore or grocery store was desperately needed in the area, as a convenience amenity to students, but to residents, and obviously that's something that caters to a lot of people. The other aspect of that type of use is that it's a daily needs use. You can go to a grocery store or a drugstore 2-3 times a week, and that constant turnover in traffic is a great asset to neighboring tenants. So if there is a restaurant or a salon or a tattoo parlor next door, those are just more people going by the storefront.
I went to a Campus Town Action or Association, CAA. They talked about an MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Has it been drafted?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What does it look like right now as the MOU?
What does it look like right now? Well, I'll tell you that an MOU in general is just a tool that we use just to, unofficially memorialize our agreement with the city. And the city has been great to work with. We've had a lot of conversations with them since we've been involved, since the RFQ process. But at some point you have to put things on paper and start passing that paper back and forth to make sure everyone understands what the goals and objectives and responsibilities are. And at this point, the MOU is pretty close to being done. One condition of the MOU that is still in flux is the university's involvement. So right now, that's what we're working on finalizing.
We've talked about anchor stores, bringing in other stores.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I've been told by physics majors, I'm an English major myself, but I've been told by physics majors that 2 objects cannot occupy the same place at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I think that holds true for the most part. What will happen to the stores that have plans, for their current physical space? Is there any type of re-entry option for them?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Again, this is an area that people are very passionate about, and they're passionate about it because of the uses that are already there and the businesses that are already there. Our goal again is to create a project of some magnitude. So yes, no 2 objects can occupy the same space. I was an English major too, so I know that does make sense though. So at some point, and it's a little early to start doing it now, we will start talking to existing businesses about relocation options and placement in other portions of the project.
Very cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I talked to the city manager, I think 2 weeks ago, and he said the incentives were being discussed with Lane 4. That would be you, but not you specifically. What incentives has the city laid out for you guys to bring you guys in and be like, hey, we want you here. This is what we're ready to offer. What's been on the table as far as that?
Those conversations at this point have been pretty preliminary. I'm not entirely sure because that's not part of my role exactly how far that conversation's gone.
Okay. ISU's involvement. What exactly has been ISU's involvement so far?
ISU has been directly involved since the very beginning. Really with the idea that in some portion of the project they will partner with us either as a tenant or an operator of some sort. Obviously the whole movie theater idea has been out there and has been discussed. The idea that they would be an office tenant in some portion of the project has been discussed, but at this point none of that is finalized.
We saw on the website that ISU is slated for 45,000 square feet of office space. Do you have any idea yet, like what offices will go in there, or are there any like real solid plans for that, or is it just kind of?
No, and the way that would be handled is through something called a master lease. So ISU would lease 45,000 feet, but it wouldn't just be one big office, obviously. It would be divided up into smaller groups. We've been told, and this is obviously preliminary, that it wouldn't be administrative offices or departmental offices. It would be, hopefully some student groups and smaller groups like that.
One of the incentives that Steve Sanker, the city manager, said was being kicked around was eminent domain. Is that on the table?
Well, I wouldn't call that an incentive, and that's really, oh really, okay. That is up to the city. At this point, we're working with a lot of property owners to try to acquire their property to create the project we've been tasked with creating, but that is something that's totally up to the city.
Will Lane 4 be at the meeting? There's an open forum city council meeting. They're having it on February 22nd, tentatively scheduled. It could be pushed back to early in March.
Mm-hmm.
Will you guys be there for that?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are there any other future plans that Lane 4 has in Iowa?
Not at this time. Believe it or not, campus town's a pretty huge undertaking, so that's our focus right now.
Yeah, it is a huge undertaking. Is there any estimated, and obviously it'd be very preliminary, any estimated dollar sign, like to this project, like this project will cost?
Yeah, there are a lot of estimated dollar signs. Hunter's probably more qualified to speak to that directly on the construction cost side, but accepting this project means spending an incredible amount of money, not only in acquiring the property, building a project, equipping spaces for new tenants, but also in pursuing it. So, for every day that we work on this project, we spend thousands of dollars on engineers and architects and attorneys, and all of our time is speculative. It's not like we get paid to do this. So, it's a huge risk and a huge undertaking, and we hope it works.
Is there anywhere in Kansas City that we could go and like check out your guys' work and see, like, maybe, I don't know if the architecture that maybe has happened here would be put in there, but get an idea of like, this is kind of what it would look like, and be able to bring that back and be like, we were there, we checked it out, this is what we saw.
In Kansas City, no, but I will tell you there are projects in Kansas City that are similar to what we're hoping to achieve in Campus Town, so I could direct you to some of those. But I think if you were to look around Kansas City and see the properties that we are involved with, you'll notice a consistent trend of quality. We take great responsibility over the projects we develop and own, and I think you'd notice that if you were to go by a few of them.
I just had a couple questions. If you could just look at Jason really quick. It seems like Jason kind of alluded to, Campus Town is getting kind of nuts, and people are like really spun up. Like, why do you think they are like so spun up?
I think, again, it's an area that people are passionate about. They've had an intimate relationship with the area for a very long time. They're also anxious to see something happen, and from what we've been told, there have been a couple false starts over the last few years. So I think people just want to see someone that's responsible come in and see this thing through.